Squad up, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of the Squad.
Squad.
I was waiting on it. Um,
So you was waiting on the loud one. No.
yes, I was. Um,
Nah.
we are back. We missed y'all last week,
Squad.
but that's
See?
okay. Um, we are back, and how are you?
And
how
I
are
was like,
how are you?
I am lethargic, feeling. Got sick last week and felt like it came from spiritual source.
Yeah.
That's what I'm gonna say on that. And my body has not recovered since.
Mm.
I still feel sluggish and drained, if anything. No, I
So,
feel like I still ain't got all my strength back, if that makes sense.
so what you may have to do is go on like a quick little parasite cleanse. Um, because parasites or viruses, and they tend to cause that sluggish feeling and things like that. And a lot of people, after they do a parasite cleanse, they report like, I've never felt this much energy before. And then they realize it's because that parasite was feeding on the energy.
Okay.
So you may need a parasite cleanse. All that to say. um, which you could do some Paragard, or you can do some um, papaya seeds and just eat some fruits and vegetables. Parasites hate fruits and vegetables. Um,
Yeah.
I got you with the juices if you need it. Um, but yeah, that's if you want. If you want.
I'm down for it.
But um, I feel I feel good, but also like I don't know if I don't know if God has been trying to show me something, or if
Hmm.
or if the devil is just trying to attack me, because these dreams that I've been having have been some serious,
What you
and
mean?
like monitor spirit type serious. Like, so as what I've been learning is how the devil operates in dreams, or how demons operate in dreams is they will offer you food in a dream. So if you find yourself eating in a dream, be very careful, because what that means is the enemy is trying to make a deposit of something into you. Um, and that happens, it's trying to deposit something into you and bring you into agreement with something. And so that's like the term breaking bread. Like when you break bread with somebody, you're getting into agreement with them. Um,
Hmm.
so that sex in dreams is the same, and even deeper, like that represents like a spiritual marriage or a soul tie. Um, and it's been them dreams been heavy for the past few days, and like one recent one I had, like I felt so dirty and disgusted because of the person that it was. And I felt so used and so angry. And I went to Jesus like very angry. I went to Jesus very angry and very hurt because I wanted to stop.
You want to stop what?
I want the dreams to stop. Like I want I
Oh, you was like, I'm done with this. Please leave me alone.
no, it ain't even like it's like I want a thump. like
Oh, she getting violent.
like
You feeling some type of way?
yes.
Okay.
I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
you really trying to play with me. And what I know for certain is all that means is God is about to show out.
Mm-hmm.
But and it's like not even in it's like the dream will happen and then some will happen in life, like in real life too. And so
Mm-hmm.
like I have never had so many people just offer me food in real life. And I just take it and I throw it away or I give it away. Cause I know on earth as it is in heaven. So it happens in the spirit first, and the earth confirms it. I'm not taking no food from them people, whoever they are. Especially because the same people who are offering me the food I'm iffy about in the first place.
Ah, I see what you're saying.
And so I'm just like, what is this?
They sus. They are
Yep. And I'm
sus.
like, you got some on you and you don't know. You got some on you and you
They out here being sus.
don't. But also, I prayed a prayer, and this may be repercussions of me praying that prayer. This may very well
What
be
you mean?
repercussions of me praying that prayer. Um,
Mm-hmm.
be careful when you ask the Lord to open your spiritual eyes.
Yeah. I forgot you had prayed that. Yeah. That's why you seeing so much. You get you did that to yourself. You
like,
wanted it, you got it. And
when I
I'll be trying
tell
to tell you, you gotta be
you,
very selective how you pray certain stuff because he gonna show you.
it
He
didn't
ain't
like
gonna play
he's
with
not. It's I'm thinking like he's not showing it the way that I expected. And so, but I did say like however you need me to see, go ahead,
you. Set up.
baby.
Set up.
But let me tell you, like he's really been because one thing about these sex dreams is that he's really doing is revealing like the what the soul tie really looks like in the spirit realm and the perversion of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's wild. It's a lot. It's wild. But what he's also revealing to me, um, even with that, is how I got in it in the first place. How I got in the soul tie in the first place, how the spirit of lust felt so comfortable coming toward me in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And it was because of my self-worth, which we're gonna talk about later. Um, but first, have you seen these gas prices?
You talking about these summa cum laude valedictorian gas prices?
Listen,
Yeah. Yeah. I need this. I'm finna drop out of college gas price. You know, I'm doing
listen.
academic suspension gas prices.
Give me that
They tripping.
1.95, please.
I need that. I need this one more class credit to graduate gas price. Yeah.
Exactly.
Like I ain't, bro. Like I'm trying to find a car now. Like I'm trying to save us some money going buy me the AB car, right? But the
Mm-hmm.
more I think about it, I'm just like, maybe I need a scooter.
But listen, so like this past week, as these gas prices been rising, I said, you know what, Jesus, I need you to reveal this to me. So what I think is happening is they want everybody to get these electric cars, and that's why they're raising these gas prices.
I That's one point, but I
And but no,
this
but
is
no,
the
because
second
then
point.
I said, because I was like, as soon as somebody get these, as soon as we all get these electric cars, I bet they're gonna put a chip in them and they're gonna track us and all that. And then I said, you know what, God, they ain't gonna get me. I'm gonna keep me a little gas car. I'm gonna learn how to ride a bike. No, I don't know how to ride no bike. Because I'm not getting one of these electric cars. Y'all not gonna track me. And so then I get on TikTok And somebody says the exact same thing. They said
Well, you on.
they said that, and they was like, they said, but the thing is, say there's another lockdown, and you got this electric car that's connected to the iGrid, and so
Hmm.
now if you can't, if they make you stay at home, you can't leave. Like you can try to leave, and the car is gonna be like it's gonna be programmed to take you right back.
Yep.
I said, oh, y'all not gonna play with me.
Yep.
And then also around that time, because they said they're trying to get away from gas cars by 2033.
Yep.
Around that time is when they're also talking about the immortal man and putting our consciousness on chips. And I was just like, this is altered carbon. Altered carbon is happening right before our eyes.
Hmm.
And ain't nobody saying it.
Because they on some people. I be trying to tell folks all the time that if you want to know what's going on in the world, watch what's on
Watch
TV.
sci-fi.
Because 9 times out of 10, I have seen. I've been looking at media, and my mama used to make me have to like, because she was a single mom. Then I had my grandparents, but my mama used to always had a theme of, I can't teach you how to be a man because I'm not one, but I'm gonna show you characteristics through other media, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my mama used to make me watch a bunch of different movies from different eras to teach me like life lessons, right?
Okay.
And but the thing about it is, I always seen in movies, and for the last, I would say 10 to 15 years, I have been noticing. I was like, I remember I seen that in the movie like a couple years back, and it's real. Or
Mm-hmm.
something happened in a TV show I watched a couple years back. Now it's real.
Mm-hmm.
And then I ain't even gonna hold you. Did I ever tell you about that show C that had came out on Apple TV Plus?
Vaguely. I vaguely remember.
Okay, so the concept of C was the human race got attacked by a certain virus, right?
Mm-hmm.
Killed off millions upon billions of humans, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whoever survived the virus outbreak ended up losing their sight.
Mm. Oh, you did tell me about this.
Right, right. So in losing their sight, oh, there went 500 years have passed since then to where the current story takes place, to where they haven't had sight in that long, to the point that even speaking of having the power of vision or sight is considered heresy or witchcraft, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the story pick up is a post-apocalyptic. You got everybody walking around blind. They doing fight scenes, all different type of stuff. Now these folks blind and throwing hands. That's how long they've been blind. That like they don't know nothing else but being blind. But when I saw the intro of the show that explained it, and they was like, "Oh, a virus had came and killed so many humans, and they emerged blind." Da da da. This. Guess what year this came out?
2019.
Mm-hmm. Season 1 was 2019, which
And
means it was in development 2018, 2017, right?
yeah,
And
but
then
let's
we get shut down with a virus
in
2020.
2020. But let's look at that. Like people really are emerging blind, like, and I mean
Yep,
spiritually blind. Like
yep.
to
Even
even
physically. I would
it's the
say
point where even mentioning,
metaphorically.
yeah, but like even the mention of Christ, like, is like, what you
Oh
talking
boy,
about?
that was
No, we don't talk about we talking about ancestors and da da da. No, baby, we talk about Christ.
I'm talking about God and not
Um,
gods.
but it's like it it's very very interesting to see things from a Christ lens, and then especially coming from the
Talk to
world.
somebody who ain't.
and to talk to somebody who only sees the world. And so
Because to see the
to
stuff that
us,
they don't see or to pay attention to stuff that they ain't picked up on, it's kind of scary. You be like,
yeah,
dang, you really don't know what's going on.
yeah. And it's like to them, we're the blind ones, but for us, like we see everything. Well, not everything. I'm not God. I can't see everything. But like there's a reason why God's word tells us that there are things like God's secrets are revealed to his children.
Mm-hmm.
There are things that we are able to see that followers of Christ are able to see because we see things from Christ's perspective. Reading his word shows you how to see things from his perspective. And when you really see it, you realize how or you don't even really you just look at people and have conversations with them and be like, how can you not see this? But I also get how they can't see it because for a while I couldn't see it.
Because you blinded into seeing everything else.
Yeah.
And right now, what people don't understand is blindness doesn't always mean, in my opinion, that you can't see metaphorically. I'm using it as a metaphor.
Mm-hmm.
Blind doesn't always mean that your eyes literally can't see it. It sometimes means that something is blocking the way or
Yeah, it's, your
distracting
view
your
is
vision.
obstructed.
So a lot of times we be simply caught up in situations where, and I ain't gonna hold you. You know, right now we got all the distractions going on.
Oh
But
yeah.
like, bruh, and with the gas price situation, like it was explaining the electric cars being on shutdown situation. The side that I was seeing from people, where my lens from social media and people I talk to is the US got to fund war somehow.
Facts.
And we've been in a financial crisis for the longest. We're not financially capable of going to war right now.
Which
So we're going
I
to hike
don't
up these gas prices when everybody want to go outside, and we're going to get our money from that.
and I just don't even understand like how y'all got money to give another country for
A
aid,
billion.
but but you also in debt, but also
And Benin did.
didn't
Because
want
the
to give
money
us
ain't real.
nothing eggs. I was like, who are you in debt to? Who do we owe
No,
money to?
Damon Dash had came out. He was on Shannon Sharp podcast called Club Shay Shay. And he was talking and he was like, look, the money ain't real. They coming out with a new currency every day. And I was like, you right?
Absolutely.
See? So he was like, you might as well. Ain't no reason for you to be poor because they coming up with money every day that ain't don't really
Like
exist.
NFTs have always existed, but like people just and what I'm learning is NFTs are actually used for money laundering. But
Oh yeah.
but like just
The
random stuff.
metaverse.
Like it's gonna get to a point where the dollar is not gonna be of value anymore. You know that episode.
But that's
I
going to
always
have to happen.
I always think about the episode of, and I think this is. I mean, I really think this is where social media is going. But I always think about the episode of Black Mirror, Nosedive, where sis like her score just kept getting lower and lower the more she interacted with people, and that was her currency. Like that was everybody's currency, but then you had to be fake the whole time. Like you couldn't you had to be agreeable. And I think our society is really moving to a space of wanting to be the world. If you don't agree with the world, case in point, Christianity goes against man's desires, and it makes people
Which
uncomfortable
is
because
why it's not
they've
easy to
grown.
be a part of it.
Yeah, and it makes people uncomfortable because they've grown comfortable in their sin. And so once you've grown comfortable in your sin and somebody comes along telling you that it's sin, you don't want to take accountability for that and understand what sin really means. So now you hurt, you butt hurt, you angry, you upset, and now they're not agreeable with you. So imagine what that would look like in the future in a situation like Nosedive, where
Oh, it's not a situation like nosedive. It's the market of beasts.
well, yeah. So then that brings me to also altered carbon, where
Hmm.
the enemy like loves to have a counterfeit, like he want to be like God so bad, so he loves to do counterfeit stuff. So there's
Yeah.
everlasting life of Jesus, and then there's everlasting life through this little chip.
Hmm.
And I think that's gonna be the mark of the beast. I think when that chip comes out and people gonna be like, oh, I can live forever, and they're gonna be so caught up in this world, so blinded by living
I don't
eternally
think it's
in
gonna be
this
that
world.
major. It ain't gonna be that major. I'm gonna
It's
tell you
not
this
gonna
right
be
now, boy.
what it is it's
I'm
not gonna be accessible to us first. It's gonna be accessible to the rich first, just like it is
easily
in
corruptible.
just like it is in altered carbon, so that they can influence us to get it.
Yeah. But I think about it is I don't think it's going to be as major as eternal life. I feel like that would be too on the nose. The devil is a manipulator,
Oh, of course.
and he's going to do stuff like the same the same way they have made it to where, or they did at one point in time. Me personally, although I have no thoughts on vaccines, if you got to get vax for COVID, I get it. I'm immunocompromised, so I couldn't. So there's a different conversation when it comes to COVID.
Right.
However, I believe that the tactics that they employed for the vaccine was the prelude to how the mark of the beast will be done.
Okay.
Due to the fact of they had to run a trial, the world had to do a trial run. Sin had to do a trial run to see, and even you can see it when it comes to people, and even in the government in general. When you look at stuff they do, they see how much they can get away with their sheep.
Oh yeah, like with their advertisements and everything, like it is like it is a test run. Like they're trying to see how easy would it be for us to influence you, or how difficult would it be for us to influence you to get this.
Right. Which means I'm not anti-vax. I'm anti-policies around vax.
Yeah, I can see that.
Cause cause I'm just like, it just don't add up to me on how they try to make it to where you can literally not do daily activities without it. Not
Yeah.
to say COVID wasn't serious like that. It's just that, think about it. If I'm gonna put in the mark of the beast to where it's going to be able to identify everybody who has it. And not only that, going to have to manipulate it to where you can't live a normal life without it.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like COVID rules.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's like they was trying to make it to where you can go to the grocery store. That was going to be a law
Mm-hmm.
at one point in time. You can go in certain buildings, which is still a law in certain states that you can't go in certain buildings without a vax. You can't have access to certain things without a vaccine. That's what some of the rules and laws they were trying to put on the docket. That
Right.
sounds like an eerie prelude to how the mark of the beast gonna operate,
Right.
to where they're gonna be like, oh, you can't have access to a bank without this. You can't have health care without this. You can't have access to a grocery store or food places without this. All the basic necessities is going to be driven through it. It won't be eternal life, but in a sense, the way that you had made it, but it's going to be life as you know it.
Mm.
And that's what's going to make it difficult. The same way how they already had people trying to dog people for not having the vaccine, saying that they should die and all this other stuff. Prelude is literally the precursor. And the governments around the world are legit ran by people and entities and spirits, because I'm gonna say, and not everybody's with God. I don't know why people acting like it.
I
Even countries
know.
that claim to be spiritual and Christian are not really Christian. I'm coming. I was a teacher in South Florida where there were even Jewish people committing witchcraft. So anybody can do whatever. So, because some people be like, oh, well, the Catholics would never. Oh, the
Mm.
Christians would never. This country is Christian. Da, da, da. Like the U.S. always claim we're a country of da 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 da. Yeah, no,
The
no.
founding fathers were all Masons. Oh,
And that's already problematic.
I don't know what you're talking about. They were
That's
all
already
Masons, and I
problematic.
don't like having conversations about like about the Masonic whatever and all that. I don't like having those conversations because if I say it's not of God, then it's a problem. They're like, we read the Bible to me, okay,
But the
and
devil know the word
the
too.
devil know the word too, but also like the bit of information that I was also given is that just because okay, so most like 33rd degree Masons are the ones who know like what it really is. Every Mason is not a 33rd degree Mason. That's
No.
every Mason you see walking around, every black man that you see walking around claiming to be a Mason, they're not all 33rd degree Masons. 33rd degree Masons
Nope.
are the ones that's up there that got all that money. They know what it really is. They the ones that run the media, run the government, all that. And the way the government is set up, don't you ever, don't you ever in your life think that this government is for you. Think that this government got your best interest at heart. Think that this government got the best interest of your spirit at heart. Don't you ever in your life think that that's the case, because it ain't. If you really
No.
sit down and pay attention and really get to the root of what this government is, you see evil all around. You see the devil all around. His hands are all up in it. Satan is busy,
And been busy.
but God is real.
And the thing about it is they gonna always make the rhetoric seem attractive.
Of course. And that's the
Because
problem.
they
That's the problem because people don't that again, people don't see that. Like they'll just say, well, I feel free, I get to do what I want and live how I want and da 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 and this, that, and the third. Or why would the government be pushing this if it wouldn't be good for us? Baby, what? What? The same government that was cool with slavery? What? Chattel slavery? What?
they're still cool with it.
And that was cool with lynching and treating black people like, or telling black people
They're
straight up, you're not human.
still cool with it.
Right. Why would the government give us what's bad for us? Huh? You know what was wild? I read something today. I was reading the FDA labels or the FDA guidelines for labels. And
Hmm.
what got me was it said it does not have to be 100% or just because it says punch does not mean that it's juice.
Facts. We know that.
That literally, I said, what? And people out here like, I can drink juice, I'll be all right. No, ma'am. No, you won't. Because the juice ain't juice. Whatever is in the juice, whatever is in the punch, the tropical punch, the fruit punch, listen, we all used to go up for some Hawaiian punch. We all used to go up for the Minute Maid tropical punch or the berry punch. That don't mean it's juice. And it's
As a
not good
person
for
that
you.
appreciates a good juice, that's not juice. Um, yeah, it's a lot of it's not juice. However, it's good though.
But look at it though. Like think about that. Is that not what sin is?
Hey, try. Hey, you said it. All I
It
know
ain't,
is
it ain't, it ain't, it ain't the
it's
real
good.
thing. It's good though.
They're good though. That ain't funny, but it's funny. I'm just saying,
It
man.
ain't
You know
good.
that juice good,
It ain't good for you, but it's good though.
but it's good though. Hey, don't that sound like never mind. Nah, they ain't go. I'm not even gonna push that button right now.
Anyway, so today's topic,
Sounded like all the old black men.
today's topic is going to be about self-worth, as we talked about. So getting it back, going back into like the nosedive, um, and just thinking about how we are deceived into believing that our worth is contingent on other people. It's a form of it's one of the devil's tools and tactics for warfare.
Mm-hmm.
And so what got me thinking about this is I came across a tweet and it was about the HBCU PWI debate.
Oh my God.
And I said, it does I just stopped and said, it does not matter. Why are y'all so hell bent on arguing about this and proving who is right and who is wrong when literally it does not matter? Why is your worth so tied up into this? Especially Black
And why
people.
you going against folks that look like you because of where they went to school?
Exactly.
And you know the crazy part, not to get into the debate, but it's just a side note to it. Like the debate has it's dumb, one.
It is.
Two, I feel like I love HBCUs. The only reason why I didn't go to an HBCU is because they didn't give me enough scholarship money like Auburn was trying to get.
Hmm.
That's it. When I was fighting for scholarships at the HBCUs, and nobody would even email me back at certain schools. Like I was on the road for the President's Scholarship at Alabama State.
Hmm.
Had the marks, had the scores, I was good. Nobody even emailed to call me back. At A&M had a couple scholarships I was trying to get, doing stuff. They stuff just came in late. At the Auburn stuff had already came in when I was waiting on them patiently. By the time they stuff came in, it was way after the fact for me. So I had already signed the papers. Tuskegee was too high. It's private. I'm broke. I could not afford to go to Tuskegee. And when I was trying to do scholarship stuff, they had told me the information too late. Couldn't go. So there are stuff like that, or people interested in going to certain schools and they don't have their major that they want to
Yeah.
be in, or you have certain HBCUs that do have your major, but you don't have the funds to go out of state
Right.
to those schools. There's like so many different levels to it. And I got friends from both sides, PWI and HBCU. I'm going to HBCU and I went to a PWI. I get the conversation of community, people that look like you.
I get that.
But I also understand the historical significance of the people that went to the HBCUs also fought for us to be able to go to the PWIs.
Right.
And nobody wants to have that conversation. They want to talk about, oh, who party the best? What? Or the fake wokeness that can be between either one. Because let's not act like it don't exist at PWIs as well as HBCUs.
But even with HBCUs, there's levels of elitism that are just awful.
That
And
don't nobody want to talk about because they all go to the same school. But then
right.
you want to talk about it amongst yourselves. I've seen like folks. I remember a couple times when I was at Tuskegee and I was hanging out with some of my friends and stuff like that, and to see you can feel in the room the disconnect when it came to elitism or classism in
Hmm.
between groups. And I was just like, man, this tough. Like, it exists at a PWI because, white people, international students, black folks, other minorities, you kind of get it. But when you see like the extreme levels of it amongst your people, it's just like, dang. Not saying it's a constant, but in certain places, certain situations, certain rooms you're in, you can feel it. And there are conversations about it. And
Hmm.
I've seen somebody get dogged in a conversation with like when it came to a classism issue. And boy, But why? But the identity being tied to it, like you was talking about back to the self-worth situation, why is that so important between the two?
Like if you
When we
didn't
actually, the
have
real
that,
identity we should, but it ain't even that. The real identity we should be celebrating is that
it,
black folks getting educated. Instead of fighting amongst each other, it should be a dynamic of, okay, you learn this from your school. If anything, there is different levels of things you learn at a HBCU and stuff you learn at PWI. We
yeah.
should be talking, not combating.
But even that, that's why I say that's a tool of the enemy, because if the enemy knows
Division.
I can cause that division between y'all ain't gonna talk, y'all gonna keep butting heads. That's even with the respectability politics thing. Like if I can keep y'all butting heads and thinking one of y'all is better than the other because such and such a stupid reason, y'all ain't gonna never get nowhere. Y'all ain't gonna never grow like y'all supposed to. And what that brings to mind right now is the church and the denominations.
Yep. Because you know what I was looking at? I was studying Lent last night, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was crazy to find out that Baptists didn't participate in Lent until after 1970. And I was looking at it when it came to Lent between denominations, and then you had the Catholics, they really was doing Lent for that reason. I was like, so we just can't all just be together just to worship God for these particular
Exactly.
reasons together. Yeah. Like I understand there are traditions and stuff like that, but even to get to a point where you just like, what this for again?
And then that's when you move away from relationship and into religiosity, into law. Law has its place, but when you idolize the law more than you worship God, that's where the disconnect comes. That's where you can't commune as a church. That's where you cannot be who God called the church to be, because you are so caught up in the law and you really don't have a relationship with God. You're just more concerned with what it looks like. You're more concerned with
Mm-hmm.
what it looks like if you follow the law. And that's why there's a section in the Bible that talks about how like many people will say they did these things in my name, but I will still say I didn't know you.
I
And the
didn't know you.
enemy knows that. The enemy knows if I could tie your worth to
Ooh, that
this
just triggered
way.
me for some. Ooh, that just triggered me for some. Ooh, that just triggered me for something. Ah, ooh, 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 I just got mad. My bad. Go ahead, cause what just popped in my head when you said that, how people gonna be like, "Well, I did these things in your name." You know, the main thing that just popped up in my head:
What?
overseas mission trips.
It
Not,
has it has its place.
I'm not. Hold on. I'm not saying that they bad, but you know the type of mission trips I'm talking about, where
I
the
do.
folks just go on them and be taking photo ops with the said people they
I do.
supposed to be
Yeah.
helping for their social media and really ain't doing no mission work.
Yeah. I mean, that's the same with like feeding the homeless and taking pictures. Like, why? Why?
You doing this to be seen, or you doing it to really help people? Difference. I'm doing this in Jesus' name. Don't put Jesus' name on there.
But even that, I think it's very easy for us to get caught up, especially when religiosity is all that you're taught, and you're taught, oh, if you do these things, you will get into heaven, rather than God's salvation. The salvation of Christ is what will change your heart. You welcoming Christ into your heart and having a relationship with Him will change your heart, and then these things will be a result of that salvation, a result of that change of God being in your life and being in your heart. When you're not taught that,
Mm-hmm.
that's when it becomes an issue. And you don't when you don't know that, that's also why God says my people die by a lack of knowledge. There are a lot of people walking around here doing that. There are a lot of people saying
Yep.
I'm doing this in God's name just because they are
Don't
taught
even
that
know
that's what you're
God.
supposed to do.
Hmm. Because that's when we get back into that relationship aspect of, do you know God for yourself?
Right. And I
Because
had a
we like, it's the same thing with our prayers. It's like, for the longest time, folks be just, you praying like your grandma,
yeah.
or you praying like how you were taught as a kid. Like, there was never a time where you literally, put in the time to really understand them. And sometimes it comes with, I mean, for me at least, it take time to actually just spend that alone time with God to really understand them.
Same.
But sometimes we still just out here with training wheels on.
Yeah. But we have to
But that's
accept
because,
that that's where we are too. God doesn't want, we talked about this at church the other day. Well, yesterday. But it was the message then was
you
about
went
how
to church yesterday.
God, huh?
You went to church yesterday.
Well, I didn't go to church, not yesterday because I ain't have enough gas. But um I watched, they have live streams, so I watched. Um, but it was about how God wants us to be like the children. And what that means is he wants us to be okay with needing his help and having training wheels
Yep.
on, understanding that we don't have it all together, instead of us practicing that religiosity, practicing that law, and
Making
being
it
like the
seem like we do.
Pharisees, being like the Pharisees and saying, well, at least I'm doing this, that, and the third, and I'm not like them.
Hmm.
But unfortunately, that's what a lot of the church is, and I'm pretty sure that's part of the reason why people have been driven away from the church. Because if you, there's a
Hmm.
because they touched on the parable of, we were in Luke 17, and we touched on the parable of the two men, and how one was a Pharisee and one was a tax collector, and the Pharisee
Hmm.
came to the temple and was like, thank you, Lord, that I'm not like him, and da 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 da, and just being, having a very haughty spirit. And then,
Arrogant.
yeah, and then the the tax collector was just like, God, have mercy on me. I know I'm not right. I know I need your help. Please help me. And I think all of us need to be okay with that. And I think if more non-believers saw that, they would feel more comfortable thinking about it, thinking about God, and saying,
Being
okay,
humble.
being humble, and see, they have to see that first though. They have to see it from us. It's our job to represent, like, it's not about having a haughty spirit. It's not about being arrogant. It's about us knowing that we are all going through the same things. We're all trying to figure this thing out. We were all born into sin and shaped in iniquity, or in other words, we were born into some mess that we ain't had nothing to do about, nothing to do with, and we were shaped in it, and it made us who we are up until this point before Christ, BC.
Mm.
And so we
We
need
were,
Christ to come into our lives and to help us, to reshape us. Every single day I see something in myself and I'm like, Jesus, I need help, because I can't
and
do
that's
this
the
by
thing.
myself. And I didn't
And
get
that's
to
the
that point though until very recently, like a few weeks ago. I really sat down, and the best thing about Jesus, like, that I love, that I really didn't see until a few weeks ago, was,
hmm
you really just came to me and was just like, I want to help you.
hmm
And how he did it was through music, through, because I randomly just wanted to listen to gospel out of nowhere. And that was Jesus's way of slowly just saying, I want to help you. Please let me help you. As wretched as I was, as broken as I was, as wicked as I was,
hmm
he looked at me in a very dark place and said, I want to help her. And that made me fall so deep in love with Jesus. And because of that, I want to be better. I don't want to be back in that space. Because when I see that space for what it is now, and I don't want to go back. And the reason for me not wanting to sin, people always say, like, You that seems so boring. You can't do this, you can't do that. No, I was in a place where I was bound to brokenness and hurt. And Jesus saved me from that. And I needed to be saved because it's all that I know. And because I'm following Jesus now and I'm seeking him, he's showing me his way. He's showing me a different
Mm-hmm.
way. And it makes me feel so much better, so much freer. And I need that. We all do. Because brokenness is all that we know. And if we're not careful, we will die in our brokenness. And we will leave another legacy of brokenness for the people to come after us, which will ultimately glorify the enemy and not God. And God does not want us to do that. He does not want that for us. He does not want that for the people to come after us, which is why he offers his hand to us and says, I want to help you. We just have to let that pride go and be humble enough to say, I do need your help. And let go of what this world tells us to be. Let go of who this world says we are and what this world says our self-worth should be tied into.
Mm-hmm.
Understand that with all of, even with all of that, we are still broken and we still need Jesus more than anything. I felt that strong. Go ahead.
Go off, sure. It the thing that I was thinking about the whole time, because somebody had a conversation with babe about,
Mm-hmm.
was the idea of, how do I explain it? Trusting but got trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a conversation we was having, and I was thinking about it the other day. Actually been thinking about it for a good little minute, but um and I had told her, I said, when you've been broken, trust is something that's hard to do.
Right.
And we have to battle with having to trust when all you've known is betrayal.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And it's a difficult spot to be in, because when the world has taught you betrayal, there comes a time to where God is trying to show you how much he loves you and is trying to help you. But the brokenness in you is just like, I can't trust you.
Mm.
Like, I couldn't even trust people I could see. And the faith aspect is where it ties in. But coming from somebody who is in the past struggled with trusting God and have been combative with him about it,
Mm-hmm.
it's a tough little spot to be in when everybody else has hurt you, or at least people that's been folks that you trusted the most has done you wrong,
Yeah.
or either situations you've been in has caused you to be cold or put up walls, and
Mm-hmm.
God trying to come in and trying to lower them. But I can understand the perspective of that's hard to do due to the fact of all you've known. Every time you put trust into something, somebody betrayed you
Right.
or somebody broke you. But it's the faith aspect that we don't talk about is, and that's the reason why I say reading the word is so important.
Mm-hmm.
And that when you're broken, and that's something my grandma was teaching me the last couple of days too, is because in reading the word, you will get constant reminders of how God has always been faithful.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes people be looking for examples. And the example that we really don't think about every day is God was faithful enough to still allow you to be able to breathe today. When
Yeah.
it's even considering that you have not even had a conversation with him
Right.
in God knows how long. Or knowing that you sinned the night before or the moment before, and he still got grace and mercy enough to give you breath enough to try to figure it out the next day when some people didn't wake up at all.
Right.
There's a faithfulness to that. There's a trust. He's giving you trust before you can even trust him.
Right.
He trusting enough to keep you alive in the hopes that you will choose right.
And
And that's
that's why he does it.
crazy.
That's why he does it. It's like he's saying, I know she's been through this, or I know he's been through this. Maybe this will, if I just keep doing this long enough, or if I just want to love them and let them know they can trust me. So I'm gonna keep being who God is gonna keep being who He is, which is a good father. He wants us to know that as our father, He can trust us. We can trust Him.
You sure shouldn't be trusting us, but
Listen. But even
yeah.
then he does. Like even us
Yep.
being here, us being alive, he trusts us with whatever the mission is that he has for our lives. And even though we strayed off track, he wants us to still complete the mission. And he still trusts us to do it to the point where he makes the bad work out for good. He's like, I don't know they went that way.
And
I could bring them back around this way.
and you know what? I'm gonna have a conversation about something, and it's kind of tied to worth, but
Okay.
it's a common conversation that people, especially people in the beginning or introductory stage of their faith, that they struggle with as a
Mhm.
question. Why bad things happen to good people?
I saw a TikTok about that earlier. Oh, I had seen it
It's
before, but
been
I saw it again on TikTok.
no, it's been a common question that has been happening for a long time. And I finally, in the last week, got the best analogy in order to help somebody understand it,
Which
or at
is,
least made it understand it to me.
mm-hmm,
And it ties to the same cheesy sentence of God gives his hardest battles to his toughest soldiers.
mm-hmm,
However, that sentence is chopped up.
mm-hmm,
But I compared bad things happening to good people as being in the army for basic training.
mm-hmm,
Basic training is a horrible experience. There are bad things happening to them soldiers every day. The amount of punishment that they have to go through, the amount of training, the like the gas chamber alone is a conversation that most people do not talk about.
mm-hmm. I think. Go ahead.
But the thing that I mean about that analogy is those soldiers have to go through many bad things in
Mm-hmm,
order to better prepare them for what being a soldier in possible war can look like. So in turn, you go through bad things in order to learn good skills or in order to learn how to be better prepared for situations. Because it's very situational being in basic training. It's the same thing I think about when people say, why do bad things happen to good people?
mm-hmm,
Bad things may happen to good people in order to teach you great skills or in order to teach you how to pass on this particular lesson to other generations or to other people you may come across. Because our problems that we go through are never just for us, as selfishly as we take them because they're happening to us.
yeah.
And we don't, because we're in the moment of going through certain bad things, we don't want to process, oh, I'm going through this because my daughter might go through this later. We're not processing, oh, I'm going through this because my grandparents went through this and they didn't learn it, so it's up to me to learn it now. Like It's those things that happen and people like these, and everybody be comparing, well, these things be happening, they horrible people. Yeah, sin looks very enticing.
Yeah.
Sin always gonna look attractive because it's the stuff you're not supposed to be doing. And they want to make it look so glamorous the way it can always bring you down at all times. The
Right.
same way how they glorify drugs and alcohol in movies. We know that you ain't supposed to be doing no drugs, but it's gonna look nice. It's gonna look cool. Same way smoking cigarettes back in like the day when they used to have them in movies and all different commercials before they stripped them. It made it look cool to do, even though it's killing you on the inside.
Yeah.
And that's why everybody was like, well, all these people, they rich and they doing this, and I know they evil. Like the conspiracy theories was may also be true, but I ain't making those claims. This certain rich person got slavery on this island,
Hmm.
but they ain't nothing happening to them because they coinciding with the sin of the world. If the world is sin and they doing sin, yeah, it look right. Yeah, it look like ain't nothing happening to them. But you don't know how far gone they is spiritually. They
Listen,
ain't nowhere near God.
and
They
again,
think the blessings is them.
we keep getting too focused on the world and tying our identities to the world and the good things, the glamorous things of the world. And then
Yeah.
that's a trick of the enemy to bring down your spirit. Oh, if I do this, if I make you think that doing these things
That
is going
this
to
is
grant you all
cool.
this goodness and all this goodness here on earth, then you gonna do all these things. But in turn, doing all of that is going to destroy you spiritually, and it's going to leave you open to attack,
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to leave your family open for attack. But with the bad things happening to good people, God revealed it to me a different way. Um, how He revealed it to me is understanding that we're all connected,
Mm-hmm.
and bad things happen to good people because people are gonna people and do what they want to do. God gave
Yeah.
us free will. And so it's up to us to make the choice that leans towards him or that leans toward the enemy and toward the world. Unfortunately,
Mm.
we are conditioned to make the decision that lean towards the world. And so that is going to affect whoever is connected to us, which affects whoever is connected to them, which affects whoever is connected to them, and so on and so forth. We are all connected, but we're
Mm.
not taught to think from the space of us all being connected.
No, because the thing about it is the world is gonna teach you a selfish lens.
Yeah.
And that's why I was saying that it coincides with my part. What was revealed to me is what you going through ain't just about you
Right,
or
right.
connected to you or gonna be for you. That's what I was saying when it came to that. That's why I say we on the same page with this with that analogy and what you was
Yeah,
revealed to, the interconnectedness of it. It's just that there are levels to it that may not be revealed at that time.
yeah. I
And
saw
then there might be times to where immediate consequences connected to somebody right next to you.
that's true. And I saw a tweet about that as well. Like somebody was tweeting and asking, it was a whole thread where people were like, what is the one thing that made you turn away from the church? And somebody said something about when the preacher would, like when a child would die, the preacher would say it's part of the Lord's plan. It's hard to view it that way, but it is. And it's not, I'm not saying that from like a cynical place. I'm saying that because I, not to say I understand God 100%, but like our ways are not his ways, our thoughts are not his thoughts. There are things connected to that child and their family that are still part of his plan. There are things connected to that child's death that are still part of his plan. And it's sad to say it. I mean, it's sad to say it for us here in the world. But on a spiritual level, you don't know what's taking place with that. For children, I mean, even the same with children being hurt. Not to say that that's right and that's okay. Again, that's because people go people, and people lean more towards the world and towards the enemy. But some things I really believe God allows because I mean he just sees a greater picture than we can see.
Hmm.
And if and me, I know that that's something that turns people away from God because they just don't understand it. They can't understand his understanding. But even in situations like that, what you have to understand is to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. That's what the pastors always say at the funerals. But it's true to be well, depending for children. I don't even know. Because what if you're a child who has not accepted Christ into your life, but it's because and you're like 4 or 5 years old and you don't know, like
Well,
you don't know, your family has never taught you about Christ and things like that. I would like to believe that, like, because the Bible shows us many instances where Christ cares for children,
yeah,
and he understands, like, he holds the parents accountable most. Um,
yeah,
and so I would like to think that that means like he gets it and he welcomes them into his kingdom when unfortunate situations like that happen. Um, and so and if that is the case, you have to remember to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. And so that means that that child is not facing all this mess that's going on. If they were in a dangerous situation that led them to their demise, they're not in that situation anymore. And thank God for that, because they're with the God that cares for them, the Father that cares for them and loves them. Sucks that it had to happen. It's sad that it happened.
but the thing about it is that the bigger picture of the situation is people only focus about that child or that person dying at an early age or situations like that. And as traumatic and as sad as this that is and how it sounds,
Yeah,
there was still a purpose in that person being here for such a short amount of time.
yeah,
And sometimes it ain't about them physically being here. It's about
that's true.
maybe that person that had them needed to have a change of heart by having this child. Maybe this particular family needed to have some glimmer of something to make them change certain dynamics.
Yeah.
Like I've seen examples of how a family that never talked to each other once a child was born became close.
Mm,
Like you got parents and grandparents that ain't talked to each other in years. Grandchildren come around, now everybody flip. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like it's those particular instances and where people be like, heard about the situation, which I understand, but there's still purpose in the short amount of time that someone may be there.
that's true.
And not to say some people try to blame God for being cruel in those instances when I would say that it's not cruel if that was the purpose that that child was supposed to serve.
Yeah,
Not the because sometimes even in death, it brings people together.
yeah,
In death, sometimes love comes. Sometimes death is the test in order to bring people together
yeah,
or to teach lessons and things like that. Not saying that I wish death on people, not saying that I don't understand somebody dying and it affecting your entire world.
yeah.
Shoot, somebody died and that turned me into a complete atheist for a time,
Right.
for some years. So if anybody understands how death can affect somebody's life dramatically, I am that person.
And as a child, I used to throw myself into whole emotional crying fits because of the environment that I was in, and I would be so fearful that I would lose my mom.
Hmm.
So no, I don't care for death at all. Or at least I don't. from a physical human perspective, I don't care for it. I don't like to think about it. I don't like to watch things that have death and things. I We get it, but we also get God has plans that go far beyond our heads, far over our heads, far beyond what we could ever fathom.
Hmm. But that's the thing that made me once I got older, um, with my grandfather's death, I had to come to terms with. And when you finally start getting back with Christ and having certain conversations with him, I learned how selfish I was
Mm,
in his death. That although I was young and I didn't understand it, but now that I'm old, I can look back and I was like, I wanted to keep my grandfather here in pain 24/7.
right.
I wanted to keep his body here to where half his body was shut down, lacking brain function, just because I wanted him here. Instead of him being able to move on with God to where he won't have to feel none of that ever again.
Hmm.
The world teaches how bad death looks. In reality, there's a beauty in it that God teaches us about every day. And it's not an easy beauty,
Mm,
but neither is being Christian in this world at all.
yeah.
To see things from a different perspective, because the world gonna teach you how bad death is. And death is a very scary thing for a lot of people, not gonna lie about it.
Yeah.
But to never be able to see the beauty in it. Because we all just passing through in here in a rental.
Yeah.
But to be able to say, you know, somebody like my homeboy Malik, who who was murdered,
Yeah.
like I'm still heard about it to this day, of course. It wasn't that long ago.
Right.
But to know that my boy, who was fighting to get a whole lot of things down here, like living and having to do certain things in order to survive, he can just be in an eternal place to where he can thrive every day.
Mm. Hmm.
To see the big houses and mansions that we didn't get a chance to be in due to circumstances down here. He got a mansion probably right now. And that's something that the world couldn't afford him based on his circumstances.
Yeah.
But God gave him rent free.
And that's because this world tells you to be identified by your circumstance.
Hmm.
And that's another
That's what a
thing.
worth is.
That's what you're worth. And that's the amazing thing about walking with Christ and seeing things from Christ's lens, because you understand like that is not where your worth lies. And so much anxiety is lifted from that. And so much you find so much peace in that, in knowing like, God, I'm here because you wanted me here. I have worth because you made me. My worth,
Something I definitely struggle with this week.
listen, and like knowing that like my worth is not like I may look around or look on social media and feel like everybody else has this, that, and the third.
Hmm.
But that's not, I know that's not really where their worth lies. And I know it's also not where my worth lies. And to know that there's just a different level of peace in that. I don't have to chase money to feel worthy. I don't have to chase a man to feel worthy, which huh, a come up for me. Um, but I don't have to. chase all these different things to feel worthy because I am regardless, even though this world says otherwise. I may not be shaped like an IG model or walk with a waddle,
That's
but
that's fake. That's fake anyway.
but that's okay. Like I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. And for people who want to really understand what it means to be fearfully and wonderfully made, it does not mean like from a place of fear, as far as like the spirit of fear and the spirit of darkness and all of that and worry and concern. No, it means like God made me with intention. He looked at my family and said, I'm going to create this person to be able to do this thing that will help their bloodline. Or he looked at the world as a whole and said, or at my brothers and sisters, my family in Christ, and said, I am going to create this child to be this puzzle piece. And looked at you and said the same thing. Before creating you, said, I'm going to create this child to be this puzzle piece. I'm going to create this child to be this puzzle piece. And everything God creates is beautiful. Therefore, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I am beautiful by default because of whose I am. And you are too. And if you get out of social media and get into your Bible, you would see it too. I guarantee. That's all I have for tonight. Jay, do you have anything else to add?
I think that something I'm learning, just being transparent to people that are listening, is that self-worth is not a one-stop shop journey. Like I go
Oh
on it
no.
once
Oh no.
and I'll be good for the rest of my life
No, 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 no.
type deal. Progress, and I feel like every step of the way of life is supposed to be progress.
Mhm.
And sometimes we think that everything is supposed to be, once I get done with this, I'm done with it completely. No, like
Yeah,
learning
no.
self-worth, dealing with certain things, and or learning certain lessons, situations like that, it's a process. And sometimes you got to give yourself grace. And a lot of people in the world and our friends, family members, and other stuff, like for the people that we know personally, like we ain't got it together. We just have been through
Mm-mm.
stuff enough to where we can talk about stuff at a certain regard. And some of these conversations we've had with our friends, we've
Yeah,
had in rooms and all this other stuff. God told us to have a platform or to talk about it for real, because other people need to know about it. But at the same time, it does not mean,
that we have it all
you
together.
know,
Child.
we got it all together. Because
That
that was the reason for the squad in the
was the
first
reason for
place.
this
Is
episode.
yeah, we ain't got it all together. Like we learning too. Some of the stuff we've learned, and some of the stuff we talk about that we currently going through. So don't ever think it's we
But it
got
don't.
life all figured out. Because in my opinion, I always say when you stop learning is when you die.
Yeah, maybe because we don't know what's gonna go on up there.
But that's what I'm saying. The moment you feel like you
We're gonna
know
get there and be
everything up
like,
here,
what? What?
that's what I'm saying. Like the moment you feel like you know or got everything figured out down here, and when I mean died, I don't mean
Yeah,
just physically leave this plane. You can be dead and be alive still.
yeah. But yeah, just know, like our purpose for this is connecting with y'all and from connecting with y'all from the understanding that we know how hard it is and we know that ain't nobody got it together. You and that more than anything, we all need Jesus. We really just want to share what we learned along the way. But again, just because we learning don't mean we didn't graduate. But we are learning. Life is just one cumulative exam. Or just one like no, because a cumulative exam is like it's just life is just one classroom. That's all. Just one classroom. And everything you learn, you gotta just build on it and build on it and build on it.
Right. Yeah. That's all I
So
had.
yeah. Okay. Well, we hope you enjoyed this episode. Make sure you share it with people. Um, share it with people who need it, who need to hear it. If something you heard like really struck you, share it. Comment on it. Put it in the reviews. We want to hear about it. We want to hear what you think. We want to connect more with you, so make sure you follow us on Instagram. We want to talk more with y'all. Um, we're gonna like really start being more interactive with y'all. So make sure you share, like, review, share, all that.
And have conversations.
Have
And even the people
conversations.
that we know personally that listen to it,
Yeah,
like you want to have conversations with us, like you can talk to us. You're
yeah.
not just like y'all be having. I got friends that listen to they don't say a word to me. Besides, I only had one friend say something to me. He was like, "Oh yeah, I listen. I feel like I know you better." Other people be like, "Oh yeah,
Well,
I listen
child,
to it."
no nobody say nothing to me no more. That's all right. I ain't gonna lie, like to the friends that's listening, I'm not even go cap with y'all. Like I miss y'all, but I for me, it feel a little different. Um, maybe that's just me, but I ain't gonna lie, it do feel a little different. Um, now some of y'all God and told me stay away from. Not even gonna lie.
I
Um,
feel that's conversation for another day.
yes, but yeah, I do. I love y'all and I miss y'all. And it does just feel a little different, but just know you can still talk to me.
Right.
uh, is everything that I say probably gonna be about Jesus? Not everything, but a lot of things. Um, just
Jesus,
cause
Jesus freak.
fact. But yeah, that's it. Y'all have a good night, good day, good morning, whatever, whenever you're listening to this.
Wherever you in the world.
Have a
Still
good.
say shout out to Uganda though.
I was just gonna say it. But yeah, that's all. Peace.
Yeah.